Hello, I'm Shauna Lawhorne with the League of Women Voters. Along with the League and SFGovTV, I'm here to discuss Proposition B, a ballot measure that will be before the voters on Tuesday, November 6th. The city has laws that provide some privacy protections in the collection, storage, sharing, or use of personal information by the city and its contractors. The city does not have a comprehensive policy regarding the protection of personal information. Proposition B is a charter amendment that would provide guidelines to city agencies and officials when they consider proposed laws, regulations, policies, and practices protecting privacy. These guidelines focus on ensuring that the collection, storage, sharing, or use of personal information is transparent, accessible, unbiased, consensual, secure, and limited to accomplish a lawful purpose. Proposition B would require the city administrator, by May 29, 2019, to propose an ordinance to the Board of Supervisors addressing the collection, storage, sharing, and use of personal information. The ordinance must contain rules for the city, third parties who hold contracts or leases with the city, and third parties with permits, grants, or licenses issued by the city. A yes vote means, if you vote yes, you want to amend the city charter to include privacy guidelines and require the city administrator to propose a privacy ordinance consistent with these guidelines to the Board of Supervisors. A no vote means, if you vote no, you do not want to make these changes. I'm here with Wendy Aragon from Privacy First, a proponent of the measure. Hi.
Hi.
We're also joined by Dr. Allison Washburn from San Franciscans for Sunshine and an opponent of the measure. Thank you both for being here. We're going to start with some opening statements, and we'll begin with Allison.
Hi. San Franciscans for Sunshine strongly believe that, one, there are no compelling reasons to approve Prop B, and two, a very compelling one to reject it. First, Prop B is unnecessary, and it's unnecessary for several reasons. The first, the Board of Supervisors could, right now, pass binding personal data privacy laws without such a charter amendment. Two, the privacy guidelines outlined in Prop B are non-binding. B is really nothing more than a declaration of policy disguised as a charter amendment. Three, on June 28th of this year, Governor Brown signed into law AB 375, the California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018. This law expressly preempts and supersedes any and all laws adopted locally regarding the collection and sale of consumers' personal information by a business. If Prop B passes, it could be preempted for purposes the proponents have advanced. Second, and the most compelling reason to oppose Prop B, it could greatly weaken our voter-passed government transparency law. San Francisco has the strongest local government transparency law, which voters passed in 1999. Prop B would enable Board of Supervisors to amend the ordinance without direct input by the voters. And I'll have more to say about that in a minute.
Thank you, Allison. Wendy.
Hi. So in 2016, we recently learned in 2016 that Cambridge Analytica manipulated personal information legally acquired through Facebook to undermine democracy and help elect President Donald Trump. Earlier this year, when you unlocked a scooter from Bird or Lime, what you probably didn't know is that you gave them permission to run your credit report and share that information with third-party advertisers and law enforcement agencies. And last month, BART proposed the installation of facial recognition cameras, whose makers in some instances have refused to sell those cameras, those products, to law enforcement on the basis that it has the inability to accurately recognize and identify people with darker skin. When we look at privacy and the history of violations of privacy, women, people of color, the LGBT community, social activists, and in the city, which is sanctuary city, immigrants, have always been prey to data breaches and privacy violations. So if we're gonna call ourselves a sanctuary city, we wanna make sure that we're protecting the privacy of our citizens, including digital privacy.
So our first question, we're gonna start with Wendy. The question is, what responsibility does the city have in regards to citizens' privacy, and how does Proposition B address this issue?
So there has been no political will before now to make this happen. What Proposition B does is it creates a charter amendment that's very open, it's non-binding. All it does is set a mandate that by May 31st of 2019, that the Board of Supervisors will come up with legislation that addresses privacy on companies in the city that use data and collect data from our citizens that are visitors.
Allison, same question to you. What responsibility do you think the city has in regards to privacy?
I believe the city has enormous responsibility, and as I mentioned, the Board of Supervisors could immediately pass laws. If there were enough supervisors to get this measure on the ballot, these same supervisors could pass strong ordinances. And then there's this little wrinkle about the state law, which could in fact preempt anything that we pass. So that's to be determined if it will in fact do that. But I think it's premature right now to put into the charter amendment something, as I said before, is really a list of principles. It's non-binding. I think the Board of Supervisors, given the urgency, which we all see, to guard privacy, could pass some laws doing that now, possibly having to tweak them down the road when the state fully implements Law AB 375.
Thank you. The next question also goes to you. Opponents of the measure are concerned about unintended consequences. Can you talk a bit about those and whether or not the city has a plan to deal with them?
The unintended consequence, as I mentioned in my opening statement, is a single sentence buried deep within the proposed charter amendment. And the proponents don't talk about this, but it's there. Our group identified it, and we thought this is a poison pill. This would enable, say in the future, we have a Board of Supervisors that is completely opposed to open government. Current members support it, not all of them equally, but more or less. But in the future, this could change, and the hard-won, voter-approved, strong sunshine ordinance could be weakened considerably. So there's no guarantee that this would not happen, and therefore we strongly oppose this. For that one sentence.
Yes, Wendy, same to you. As a proponent of the measure, how do you address this?
This measure's author is one of the strongest proponents of the Sunshine Ordinance and transparency. I personally serve on 2 advisory committees for city departments. I care about transparency in the Sunshine Ordinance. Members or Sunshine advocates met with the author before he wrote this to help him avoid that. Privacy first comes second only to the Sunshine Ordinance. The Sunshine Ordinance takes precedence over it. And right now, we have Sunshine advocates, myself included, who think the Sunshine Ordinance is broken and actually needs to be stronger. Right now, we have an empty seat that represents media, and it's in that way defunct. And it's a defunct seat, and without that, we can't have a full, we can't fully look at transparency without that seat being filled. This would help to do that.
Closing statements. Allison, you first.
I wanted to address the last point. As I said, the poison pill in here, the reason San Franciscans for Sunshine is opposing Prop B is because, yes, it could be that, we have strong supporters of Sunshine now, but that may not be the case in the future. Furthermore, San Franciscans for Sunshine, a group made up of former members of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, former chairs, myself included, we have spent years and working with people in city government to amend in a comprehensive way this Sunshine Ordinance. Our intention is to take this back to the voters. And this is the way to do it. The voters passed this in the first place. The California Elections Code actually has language saying that you cannot, government bodies cannot easily amend or change what voters have approved. So that's the way to do this, not by taking the risk that down the line some group of supervisors could substantially weaken the sunshine ordinance. So this is otherwise fine piece of legislation has this wrinkle in it that, in our opinion, mandates that we strongly oppose it. So I urge voters to do the same.
Wendy.
So we need to start having these conversations and putting policies in place that begin to address the implications of data breaches and privacy breaches. On its most basic level, Proposition B and the cities states that cities have an important role to play. In San Francisco, the epicenter of tech innovation, we can allow that innovation to take place, but we also have a duty to our residents and our visitors to remain at the vanguard of data privacy regulation as well. Proposition B is much more than just a policy statement. It is an amendment to our charter to create a privacy-first policy, much like the city's transit-first policy, containing 11 principles that are based on forward-thinking regulations from the European Union. And it's also a mandate that the city develop legislation to implement those principles by mid-2019 and revisit that regulation every 3 years so that we can stay ahead of an evolving issue. Prop B also contains a statement that it may not be implemented in any way that undermines public records laws. Protecting your privacy is important, and privacy is your right. By voting yes on B, you're voting to put your privacy first and ask that the city of San Francisco and our officials put that first.
Thank you both for your comments and your time. We hope that this discussion has been informative. For more information on this and other ballot measures in this year's election, please visit the San Francisco Elections website at sfelections.org. Remember, early voting is available starting October 9th at City Hall, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also vote at City Hall on the 2 weekends before Election Day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if you don't vote early, be sure to vote on Tuesday, November 6th.